Tired of serving up the same old tasty skittles to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Coy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CoysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And everybody, welcome to another edition of the Razorback Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm your host, Jason Pattyson. Also want to thank our sponsor, Coy's Southern Eats. Also, come rediscover the magic of Coy's. Come get you some. Otis, that was a heck of a game yesterday, 56-13 win.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on what happened yesterday?
Well, the most impressive thing, I can't talk. The most impressive thing was the fact that they came out and took care of business. They 21-0, 14-0 first two possessions, 21-0, 35-3 at halftime, 56-13. They just took care of business, Jason. They didn't play around. They didn't sleepwalk for 2 or 3 quarters and then wake up and rally to beat them. They did what they put. They put their foot down to the pedal and put it to the floor and kept it there the entire game, basically. That impressed me. Another thing that impressed me was the way KJ, his chemistry with the receivers. Those are all new receivers. I mean, the running backs are old guys that have been there. He's familiar with them. Well, old guys. I mean, they're guys that he's familiar with. But those receivers, for the most part, even Isaiah is a new player in the fact that he redshirted last year. He didn't really play much. So he's working with a new receiver group. You know, Jaden Wilson didn't play much last year. So, I mean, this is basically to have that kind of chemistry in the passing game. Yeah, the running game needs work, but they were missing Brady Latham too, man. I mean, look, they had one player returning who played that position last year, and that was Brady Latham, played left guard. Bo Lemmer's back, but he played right guard, so he played center for the second time in his career Saturday. Other than that, it's all new players, so they missed Brady Latham. Just don't make light of that. But no, I was impressed with the way that, and not just offense, but defense too. They came out 3 and out. They were putting it to them, not letting them get chemistry, not letting them get momentum. And that was really impressive to me, Jason. Once I got my thoughts together where I could talk, it was impressive the way they came out. And I'm trying to think of words. I mean, because they came out fast, which was one of their things they want to do, and then the chemistry with KJ and the receivers. those were the things that really impressed me. There wasn't anything that really unimpressed me. I mean, the running game, like I said, I'm going to wait to judge that because I know Sam Pittman. I know Cody Kendi. I know Dan Enos, Rocket Sanders, A.J. Green, Rashad Dubinion. Dominic Johnson, KJ. I just can't believe it. They're not going to be good running the football once Brady Latham gets back. That will help. It's not going to solve everything, but it will help. But I will say this. Western Carolina was stacking the line, and if Arkansas wanted to, they could have gone to Isaac and Andrew all day long. I mean, they could have scored 100 points on them just by throwing the deep ball to Isaac and Armstrong. So I don't. It was one game. I felt like Arkansas did what they needed to do, and it's that's something they haven't always done against these somewhat no-name teams. They haven't always came out and took momentum and kept it, Jason. So I was impressed with that. That was my biggest thing, that and KJ's chemistry with the receivers.
And I like the way that you kind of segue to this. This is a little bit from KJ yesterday at the press conference.
We executed the game plan.
Oh, sorry about that. Here we go.
Previous pass, I mean, just 11, like early games, we haven't, as an offense, we haven't been starting fast and kind of lingering around and waiting and stuff like that. So I think we came out this week just a big emphasis on starting fast, being urgent, making sure we know what we're doing. So I feel like as a whole offense, I think we came out and executed the game plan.
And so, that was something you kind of alluded to there in your opening remarks, that was a huge point of emphasis, not only for, KJ, but also for the team from top to bottom. And we saw that. I mean, first play was to Luke Haas, 15 yards, and then Jaden Wilson right up that left side. He had a great, incredible block. We'll go over that here in just a second.
Yeah, Isaac again, put the guy on the ground, and then KJ's buddy there, Jaheim Thomas, played a great game. I didn't get to see him last year when he played here with Cincinnati against the Razorback, but I sure got to see him yesterday, and I was really impressed with him.
Man, Isaac Tesla, man, without him, that play wouldn't have happened. He made a good block out there on the edge, and I just got around and I seen green grass and hit it full speed.
So, I don't think there's too many DBs in the SEC that are going to be able to catch, a Jaden Wilson, because that's one of the things that they did. I mean, you have Isaac Tesla that did an incredible job blocking on that. He had a touchdown catch. He didn't drop the ball. You had the entire wide receiving core yesterday drop one pass. I mean, one pass. That's it. When was the last time that you can remember a wide receiver core at Arkansas drop one pass the entire game?
Yeah. And, once again, it goes back to this too. Like I said, this is KJ working with new guys, and then Jacoby comes in and didn't miss a beat there. So, yeah, these are good receivers. I've heard all year, all summer, all spring, and I listen to this crap about it. They're coming from small colleges. Look, man, there's players in the NFL from those type colleges. Yeah. There are players all the time you hear drafted, from small colleges. Look, these are kids. Isaac Tesla. The kid played in an offense at Hillsdale. I mean, I'm sorry, not at Hillsdale, but in high school. He was the quarterback for an option-based team. I mean, they had like 15 players, I think it is, on the team. He told me that story. I don't remember per se, but Isaac told me the story. He was an option quarterback on a small high school team. He's not going to get recruited. And then Andrew Armstrong, he wasn't. I saw him play, Jason. I don't know if you know that. Yeah. I saw him play when he played up here against Fayetteville with Dallas Bishop Dunn. He simply wasn't as good then as he is now. He got better. And, not just that, but he got better. You can take let me give you an example of Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was a guy when he went to UCA, wasn't the player he became. And that's the way Andrew Armstrong did at Texas A&M Commerce. I'm telling you, Armstrong abused those defensive backs yesterday. would have had another touchdown. KJ had 5 incompletions. One of them was he skipped a ball, bounced the ball to Andrew, who was about the 3-yard line, and he was getting ready to take that DB in the end zone with him if he catches it. And Armstrong and Isaac, we still haven't seen Broden break out, but I'm telling you, man, Jaden Wilson, Isaac Tesla, however you pronounce his name, Andrew Armstrong and Isaiah Satina, those kids are studs. I think Tyrone Broden's going to be okay. Dozier made a great play yesterday. And that Desmond James has got potential to do the same thing.
He does.
Luke, you talked about him at tight end. So, they're in good shape there, Jason.
Yeah, and they really are. Here's some of Sam's opening comments yesterday from the press conference.
Completions, so he's got to do or 5. What was he, 18 23? Yeah, he's got to get better than that, And only 3 touchdowns and ran for 1. No, I thought he played well. We're not asking him at this point to run the ball as much. We didn't want to run him today much, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, I thought he was really poised. We made a lot about the new, everybody did, including myself. I wondered about it. New coordinator, new coach, all that kind of stuff. And
so, you really that's kind of a little bit of a tell there from Sam that was also something that was sitting on the back of his mind. KJ's performance, 18 of 23, only 1 drop ball. So really 4 balls that were kind of his responsibility. And actually one of them wasn't, because he threw that one directly out of bounds. So we really had 3 balls and one of them was a skip. So, I don't know how much more efficient you can ask KJ Jefferson to be with a day like he had. And they only 23 passes and you still put up 56 points.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, other than the bounce pass to Armstrong, I don't know what any of those were really bad passes. Some of them just, the one to Satina kind of hung up there, but I believe if that's a bigger receiver like Armstrong or Isaac, they go get that ball. They have a chance.
Yeah.
That wasn't that was a ball that was there. I don't remember all of them, but I know the one bad pass was the one, and he brought that up himself. I'm not dog. I never would dog KJ. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the world. But he bounced the one to Armstrong. But other than that, I don't remember a really bad throw by him. Even in the other 4 incompletions, that was the one that stood out to me. But it obviously stood out to him. That's one thing I started to bring up earlier, and I wish I had, because Sam just hit on this. One way that they can open up that running game, and they will if they need to, is KJ is going to give that ball to the back, Rocket or AJ, Rashad, Dominic. He's going to pull that ball back out. He's going to take off around there, and he's going to make some defenses pay for it, Jason. And they'll do that if they need that. You wait till A&M game. If they need to, but you wait when KJ, when he needs to run, that guy, I saw a 6'1", well, you saw it, but I saw a 6'1", 235-pound linebacker, senior at Western Carolina. And I'm not sitting there trying to tell you he's the next Lawrence Taylor, but he's a kid, 6'1", 235 senior. Yeah. He had a full hit on KJ and bounced off of him
bounced right off of him. Went 5 yards almost back after whenever he bounced off of him, too. And KJ just spun right out of there and made a play out of nothing.
This is a 235-pound senior linebacker, and KJ just like it was a mosquito or something, And I'm telling you, man. And then he had the intelligence to complete a pass, or the awareness, maybe is a better word. But man, like I said, I'll tell you what started it. I've been a big KJ Jefferson fan since the year that he backed up. He stayed and backed up Felipe Franks his second year here.
20 season.
And he stayed ready all year. Felipe gets hurt and didn't play against Missouri. KJ came in and had their best offensive showing of the year. He stayed ready. He spent 2 years backing up transfer quarterbacks and did not transfer. And I admired the guy after that, Jason. And that's what makes KJ Jefferson fan. I'm not even talking about his talent. He is obviously a very, very, very talented. He's probably, honestly, there's been a lot of great quarterbacks at Arkansas, but I'm going to tell you this: KJ's as good as any of them, if not the best one. He may be the best, but if he's not, he's as good as any of them. And I don't want to hear about this pro stuff because I'm talking about college quarterback for Arkansas. KJ's as good as anybody that's played here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the best. I love Quinn Grovey. I love Bill Montgomery, Joe Ferguson, Greg Thomas. I mean, I love a bunch of Kevin Scanlon, Ryan Calcac, but Matt Jones, but he's as good as anybody, KJ is.
He really is. Just a little bit of from the opening remarks from Sam on Saturday.
Well, we didn't get great movement on our inside runs, but we couldn't get to their safeties, which was probably the reason why we're making a lot of yards throwing the football. I do think Dan probably could have thrown it quite a bit more. We also have work to do in the run game, but I think you'll see a little bit of combination of both.
So, yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of looking forward to next week. Also, you might see a little bit more flash from KJ as far as maybe hitting edges if he needs to. But the run game, I think, is going to be one of the –
eventually.
What's that, Otis? Sorry.
I don't think you'll need to against Kent State. I really don't. They got beat 56-3 by UCF. I think you'll see a similar deal next week. But I'm going to tell you, starting with BYU, and then A&M, LSU. Well, LSU before A&M. That's when you'll see KJ. If he needs to run, he will tug it out, run, and he will back some people off the line of scrimmage. But they've got to get Brady Latham back. I mean, I'm just telling you, that's the one guy that started at left guard last year that was back. Bo Limmer started at right guard. I'm telling you, Brady Latham is as important to this football team. He's as important to that offensive line as KJ is to the quarterbacks, or is Armstrong and Isaac to the receivers. I'm just telling you, man. I mean, the guy's important to that offensive line. He's a captain. He's a preseason All-SEC. I mean, you don't take a guy like that. If you had Ricky Stromberg, Luke Jones, Dalton Wagner, and Bo Limmer, you might not miss Brady so much, but you don't have that. Yeah. So that's why you're missing. You missed him. I'm not going to sit here and whine about the running game till I see Brady Latham in there, and also see the full complement of passing, making them back off with the pass and burn their butts to the ground, and KJ taking it and keeping it outside. When that happens and they still can't run the ball, then I'll worry about it. But till then, I'm not going to worry about the running game. I mean, they scored 56 points yesterday. I'll take 56 against any team they play, and take my chances with this defense of winning most games, if not all, probably all. But I don't know. Alabama, LSU, I don't know. But I'll take my chances with 56 points.
Speaking of defense, I'm glad you brought that up. So for the first time in quite a long time, the Razorbacks held an opponent. The defense held an opponent under 30 points. They averaged 31 points a game last year that they gave up. They gave up 13 yesterday. They gave up 291 yards total offense. One of the notes that I want to make is that they only gave up 227 yards passing with those 4 interceptions, which one was returned for a touchdown in some late quarter heroics there by a third stringer. And, I loved the performance that the defense made, because that front six that we talked about so much on how they're able to rotate in and out all over and over and over, being able to keep fresh guys in there, that sort of helped those DBs be able to get those those interceptions. Jaden Johnson, came out again. He talked about consistency. He talked about wanting to come out and perform for his team. Yeah. And he showed it yesterday.
Yeah, he's a kid that's got the talent. He's got all the talent in the world. He just didn't impress me last year. I'm not going to lie to you. I've sat there and he didn't impress me, but he did. He has since then. I think he's changed his attitude. And Sam's hinted about or spoke about that. I don't know what he called it a hint. Yeah. I spoke about that. But Jaden always had the talent. And now he's showing. One thing that I was impressed with, here's what mostly impressed me about the defense, and it's a big thing. 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20, whatever. Mm-hmm. They allow a 5-6 yard pass and tackle the guy on the spot. Third and 10, they give them 4 or 5 yards. They catch the ball. They don't throw it downfield 20 and 30 yards. Last year it'd be 3rd and 20, and they throw it down the field and get a 21-yard gain. It'd pull your hair out. I mean, the defense, man, that aggressive defense. I mean, Travis, I love that style of defense. I mean, you're going to give up some stuff occasionally. You're going to get burned. You know, Jalen Braxton got burned yesterday once. It happens, man, but that's fine. You also make a bunch of big plays. Not just Jaden Johnson, but Dwight McLaughlin.
He got an interception. Also, Hudson Clark got an interception.
You know, Walcott's a stud. Snacks makes good plays. Walcott really didn't show that much. He will. He's a stud. Hudson Clark got him in there. He's a ball magnet. Hudson is. I mean, everybody grabs Hudson Clark, and all he does is go out there, just makes tackles, makes interceptions, makes plays. I love Hudson Clark. It's safety or nickel, not at corner, but I love Hudson Clark at nickel and safety. Not at corner, though. But they're not playing him at corner. But, I think it'll help to there again, a lot of those are new guys. Singletary, you got to understand that, he didn't play much at Georgia last year. Yes, he was a 5-star in high school, but, BYU, Cincinnati, and those teams don't care about that. But, you had Paul, Jaheim Thomas, and Jordan Crook outstanding at linebacker. And then your kid comes in and picks off the pass and takes it for a touchdown, 85 yards. Brad Spence, I just like the way this defense plays. I think Evan was talking to me earlier when we did the segment with Pig Trail Nation about the defensive line. Get that to the quarterback much. That's true. But there again, I don't know that. I mean, they played everybody. I think they will get to the quarterback. When you got Landon Jackson, Tree Jeffcoat, Torian Carter. I mean, they actually got there. They only had 2 sacks, but now they had some tackles for losses too. Kiwi Rose blew the offensive line up yesterday on a play when he got back there. That's that Lakers mentality coming out in Kiwi Rose. Lakers mentality there, man. They blew that guy up. So I mean, nobody don't know he's a big Lakers fan too, like me. But so I love Kiwi Rose. But no, I mean Booker is a man. I mean they've got some men on that defense. Cam Ball. So, and then, before we get away, I want to talk about Isaiah Satina, too, in the return game. That was one of my 5 keys to winning, was him being featured in the return game. And we saw that yesterday. Speaking of Cam had an unfortunate block in the back on that. I think, maybe a hold, but I think it was blocking back on that return. But Isaiah gives them a threat. Gives them a threat that they haven't had back there, Jason. And I'm going to tell you, these teams kick it. They better kick it out of the end zone, because if they kick it 5 yards deep or 6 yards deep, he can still bring that ball.
Taking it. They're still taking it out,
Giving him permission to bring it out, because he feels like even at that, he can get to the 25 at worst. At worst to 25. He may make something happen. So that's a threat that they haven't had there. That kid's going to change the game. I'll tell you, when he comes in big, is a game like Alabama, LSU, those A&M games like that, where he can flip.
Where you need to turn the momentum, and flip the field and turn the momentum to your side. Then he's that guy that can do that. He's like a Joe Adams type.
Yeah. They won't have Poopaw. Johnny's bringing that up. Yeah, Poopaw the first half Saturday, but they'll have Jaheim Thomas, Jordan Crook, Brad Spence. I still don't know Antonio Greer's status. You've got the kid from Oxford, you've got him. You've got linebackers. They'll be okay. I mean, Spence, but Jaheim Thomas really impressed me. Jordan Crook always impressed. Jordan Crook and Chris Poopaw always impressed me, those 2 kids. I didn't get to see Jaheim play last year. I saw him, but not when they played Arkansas. I was sick. I was in the hospital, but I saw him play at other times, and he really impressed me. And boy, he's a big kid too. And Brad Spence, is a very good ball player.
So yesterday, Jaden Johnson talked a little bit about what it's been like in the defensive backs room, and I felt like what they have brought to the practice field and how the chemistry has started to develop inside that room, he kind of gave us a little bit of insight on that.
Just sat me down, talked to me about just how I got to be consistent. And so that was something that I worked on during the offseason, and I got a lot stronger, faster. And just our group, our DB group, is happiness, peaceful, and we like to have fun. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, see that.
That right there tells me that that's everything we need to know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's talking about having fun there. I mean, Sam said this year they're talking about how can I get better? What can I do? How did we do? Not why did I not get to play? We're not having. Yeah. I'm not putting that on Jaden. I'm talking about as a team. And but I think, like as I said, Sam has mentioned Jaden and Jaden right there that both have changed their attitude, and it's showing. Wilson, that play. He showed his speed. He played at DeSoto, Jason. He was a very good high school. I was impressed with him in high school at DeSoto High School in Texas. Always one of the best high schools down there. But probably both, Rudolph. And Satana's what he's talking about, going to break one. Probably both. I love that kid. I put him at one of my 5 keys. And, you would think other keys the first game. But I've been a big Isaiah Satana fan since he was in Fayetteville High School, and I saw him play. Saw him play in junior high even. My grandson played for Fayetteville for a while and was in that same team when he was in junior high. And I love Isaiah Satana. I mean, I think, or when younger kid in high school, but he's got that speed. He's got football ability. He just makes things. He's got the ability to. He's a threat every time he touches the football. And I'm telling you, he's going to make a difference in the passing game. Didn't really see that yesterday. He had 2 catches for I want to say 14 yards maybe. But I'm just telling you, Jason, he's going to make some things happen in the passing game. We saw that. Anybody was at that spring scrimmage, whether they were there or watching it on TV, they saw what he can do in the receiving game. And he's going to do that.
Yeah, he can.
He's a good ball player.
As long as they can keep their guy in front of him. I know we saw Cam Ball yesterday get a block in the back on a big return that Isaiah had.
Yeah,
you're going to have that. That's one of the things that does you take the chance on whenever you do take a ball out of the end zone or whenever you take it deep. That is a gamble, but at the same time, you're willing to risk that gamble for the reward with his speed, because his speed can give you 6 at any point.
Yeah, and most time, as Sam said, he's going to get at least to the 25. And I'm going to go off topic here for just a second. I should have already brought this up, or probably should have already reported. But speaking of kickoffs, Vito Calvaruso, for anyone that doesn't know, is back at Arkansas. Mm-hmm. Vito's at Arkansas. He was ruled ineligible. He left here and went to Wisconsin. He transferred back to Arkansas. Vito is at Arkansas. He was ruled ineligible. And because he's already transferred once, he's not a graduate transfer, but he'll be with the team next year and be back. And but I just wanted to let everybody know Vito Calvaruso, and I've known that for quite a while. I've been sitting on it, but I just want to get that out there because I actually told some other reporters for the first time yesterday, and I've had a scoop on that for quite a while and just sat on it. But I want to get that out there. Vito Calvaruso is back at Arkansas.
And what's going to be nice too is that if Cam Little decides to move on at any point, I know that this is his, if I'm thinking right, this is his junior season. And if he does decide to move on, now you've got a guy in Vito Calvaruso that can come back in. He can use this as a redshirt year. And then he'll have, if I'm not mistaken, 3 more years left after this.
I'm not sure, maybe 2. By the way, okay. Got a question here. On about Bear McQuarter.
Hogs McQuarter.
Yeah, Hogs McQuarter. Watch Bear today. Watch the Pig Trail. Watch my segment on Pig Trail Nation. He was on there with me today. And it was enjoyable to have Bear on there. 6'4", 300. He is a stud. He's never allowed a sack. He played varsity as a freshman last year. He's still just a sophomore. But watch my TV, and I'm not pimping myself because I bring nothing to it. I'm telling you, watch it because of Bear McWhorter. Watch the show because of him. And, Evan and I were there on there, but watch the show because of Bear. He is, you'll find out a lot about him. I had some interesting questions for him, and he's fun. That was a good episode today. They all are when those kids come on there. I appreciate all of them. But that was a good episode today with Bear because I've known that kid. I told him, I've known you since you were little. And I said, let me take that back. I've known you since you were young because I don't think he was ever little. He was probably 200 pounds when he was born. I don't think he's ever been little. So I took that back. I said, I've known you since you were young. And I did ask him today. I said, now, am I going to call you Bear or Hog from now on? So, I thought he might change his name to Hog because not very often a bear becomes a hog. But that was the case there. And I guarantee you, Cody Kennedy and Sam Pittman are tickled to death about that one. He's good, Johnny. He's real good.
And Philly Moo also had I was impressed overall. I know it was a cupcake team, so to speak, but have the confidence. I'm ready to see the O-line improvements because I can guarantee Coach didn't like that showing. And that's very true too. He wasn't impressed with it at all, but he also understood that they can go back to the drawing board because there are quite a few pieces that they can mix and match to make this offensive line really quick.
Like I said, man, let's wait and see what happens when Brady Latham comes back. And I have said on this show, I've talked about on this show that they were going to start off against Western Carolina with those young, inexperienced offensive linemen. They should get better week 2. Remember, I said there was going to be growing pains.
Yep.
I said they're talented, but there's going to be growing pains. And I think a lot of that's what you saw yesterday. I said they were young, but there's going to be growing pains, but they're talented. And then they should get better against Kent State. They should get better against BYU. They should be better against LSU. You're not going to take out years and years of experience and then be missing probably, in all honesty, your best offensive lineman and have one returning starter in there and play in a different position. And it just looked like a great unit. I mean, it's just not. It's going to require some patience from fans on this offensive line. And if we're talking after the LSU game and it's still the same issues, then we have a discussion. But let's give it some time because I warned people on here that it was going to take some time because it was just you've got such young, inexperienced group, and it's a whole unit except for Bo Limmer yesterday, and it's just going to take some time.
It is, and Tony Brown had mentioned, said, "What's the highest recruiting class Arkansas has ever had, and does the 26th class have that potential to reach that?"
Well, yeah, I think it does. I honestly don't know. I think those recruiting rankings are such a fraud that I really don't put a lot of stock in them because they move them to at the end. They'll move kids down or up to. As soon as Luke committed to Arkansas last year, they started moving him down. They move us around to get the rankings where they want them. I've worked for all of them. I got chewed out several times for basically saying that when I worked for them. I don't put much emphasis on those, but I do think that 26 class has a great chance to be a great. Well, I think the 2025 does too. I mean, I love the two in-state kids. I love Parker. I mean, I like what they're doing. They picked up Kai Greer for the 2024 class. They're doing the Dave Van Horn deal now. They're recruiting 3 different classes, Yeah. Bear said today that he's working with Tay on who to recruit for 2026. I know Kane Archer and the kid from Nixa, Missouri, Jack Cantwell, is 2 of them. But there's others, obviously. But I think Colton Yarborough probably should be on that list. Marion Porter, I'm sorry, out of Wiley East down in Texas. Colton Yarborough is the #1 recruit in 2026 from Oklahoma, a defensive end that I wrote about. Oh, it was the day of the picnic I wrote about it. When they had the picnic the last Saturday in July, I wrote about him, Jason. So, I mean, those are kids, some of the ones to watch for 2026. And, you'll be hard to beat for Yarborough, but I think Arkansas has got a chance there. He's from Durant, Oklahoma. But I really like those kids. And but, yeah, they're doing a good job recruiting. Marcus Woodson, Jimmy Smith, those guys, those are machines, man. I mean, I know running back coaches probably say, God bless it. when they see Jimmy Hoffer get running back that they want. I mean, that room, man, he's got what's he got? 5 or 6 studs in there right now.
Yeah.
And he's got 3 more on the way. I mean, we know Rocket's going to the NFL after this year. Who knows? AJ may or may not, but we know Rocket's going to the NFL after this year. And but man, it's just there's so much talent in that room. And you know, they got 5 on the team right now that you could plug any of those guys in and not be hurt. You know, yeah 2026 has a chance to be a really good year. There's some talent in 2025 though too. Don't overlook that class. I mean, they've got a kid in Marion, Arkansas, Kern, defensive tackle that they're on. A receiver at Warren, believe that or not. I mean, who'd ever thought of wide receiver at Warren? You know, Henry's never turned down a receiver down there. But I don't know what's in the water down there. Man, that's wide receiver, high school, university down there at Warren, Arkansas.
They do. They grow wide receivers on trees down there. I swear.
Athletes, man. I mean, I've asked Matt Richards and Shamar Easter when John and I and you know, we went down there and I asked him, what's in the water down here, man? I mean, they turn out these athletes are long, they're fast, they're tall, just big old kid, good-looking kids can run, play football. But we got Warren, got another receiver down there. Well, they've actually got 2. They got one in the 9th grade that I love too, Tayshawn Edwards. But Ole Miss already offered him in the 8th grade. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in all this recruiting. But they're recruiting 3 classes right now. I think 2024. High school wise, still going to add some kids, but I don't think you're going to see a lot more high school kids. They're at 19 right now. They're at 19 in 2024, Jason. I think they'll probably add. There's some tight end or 2 they're after. They're not going to turn down a great. I think they'll still try to flip, whether it's Fletcher Westfall or whether it's Shaq, the offensive linemen, offensive tackles. I think they'll try to flip some of those kids.
I think that Fletcher Westfall would be an excellent flip. We saw him at a recruiting visit back in June, and I'm going to tell you what. I've seen guys that have looked the part before, but that guy looks the part. I can't overemphasize that much.
He and Shaq both do. McCrory out of Alabama. I'm telling you, man. Those 2, along with Kai Greer, I mean, that's what offensive tackles are supposed to look like. And then you've got Kobe Branham from Southside. You've got the kid at Lexington, Kentucky, who I thought was better than either one of the kids at Kentucky Talk from the state, but he's an interior lineman. They didn't want another interior lineman, but I love him. We're going to see, you know, it's just Sam gets recruiters. If they can't recruit, he gets rid of them. It's just that simple.
Exactly.
I mean, he doesn't keep a guy on the staff. They can be his friend, but if they can't recruit, they're out there.
Exactly. So let's look ahead to Kent State. Arkansas takes on Kent State this coming Saturday. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. at Donald W. Reynolds War. Holy cow! It's been a long weekend. It's been a long weekend at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. I know that Tony Brown had also mentioned this too, that Kent, and you had too, that Kent State lost to UCF and 56-6 over the week or yesterday, and
it was Thursday, actually.
Oh, the Thursday night. That's right. It was Thursday night, and when you get, I don't know how much of a barometer facing Kent State and what Arkansas is able to do, other than what they were able to do yesterday versus Western Carolina. I mean, that's what you want to see as the carryover. You actually want to see a little bit more execution of the run game, from game 1 to 2.
Well, I think it still comes back to what Sam said last week and what KJ said yesterday. It said all along. It comes back to Arkansas playing Arkansas style of football, not so much. I think that's what's happened in the past, whether they meant, I don't think they meant to do it, but I think Arkansas has looked at the opponent in the past and played down to that level, and they didn't do that yesterday. And as long as they don't do that, they're going to come out there Saturday and take care of business. And, I think they're going to be fine there. Well, you got to play cupcakes to start the season. I mean, they needed those games with this offensive line. Because like I said, I'm telling you, people, I don't know why you think Andrew Chamley, Patrick Kudas, Devin Manuel, even Ty Keys, even though he's older, but he hadn't played that much, and Marion Harris, he's got to come out and just be well-oiled machine right off the bat. It's not going to happen. The transfer from Coffeyville, I mean.
Amari Wiggins.
Yeah, I mean, those are new players. I mean, you need these games for those kids to get some experience. Like I said, judge them when you play BYU, judge them when you play LSU, judge them when you play A&M when they've got some experience under their belt. That's when you start judging those kids, not now.
This scale-up schedule is what we needed. That's what Brace Sturm said. That it is, and that's something we've talked about at length leading up to yesterday.
Yeah.
Was this is the thing that you need? Honestly, this has been the best prescription for this team for October and November, not for September, but for October and November, because that's where you've seen where the team kind of starts to hit a lag and then kind of dips and then goes right back up again towards the end of the season. And I hate to say this now, but you can't look past a Missouri team at the end of the season because they've had your number.
Well, yeah, you can't. This team can't look past any SEC team, and they better not look past BYU. They don't need to look past Kent State or Florida International. I don't think they will. But I mean, I'm just saying that they're not so good that they can look past a team. What happens when you look past a team? You start getting into situations like you did against Liberty or where you did against Missouri State, where you have to rally, and it was too late against Liberty and almost too late against Missouri State. Bryce Stevens saved her butt with that punt return. And so, I mean, I'm just saying you can't overlook. This team's not good enough to overlook people, but the offensive line, I would have been shocked yesterday. I don't know why people are so up in arms about the offensive line when I don't know what you expected. I sat here and told people, not because I say it, but I mean, just common sense tells you that those guys are so young that they weren't going to come out and just dominate yesterday. I don't care who they play. So,
one of the things that I found interesting was that Darren Woodson and Marcus Williams have talked about. Marcus Woodson and Darren Williams. Holy cow! What they talked about was one coordinator being on the field, one being up in the box. They did that in the second scrimmage. They did it yesterday. I think it worked pretty well with the relaying information back and forth.
Well, I think you can see better from up in the press box than you can on the sideline. To me, there's some give and there's some take. Okay, I think you can obviously I know you can see the game better from the press box than you can on the sidelines. That's one of the worst things out. Now, what you do give up some interaction. Like if Dan Enos or Travis Williams is on the field, they can interact with their players. You can do it on a headset, but if you're down there, you can interact with quite a few of them, Jason. So there's some give and take in that. Will it make any difference? Maybe. But I think that I don't know if it'll make any difference, but I think that you can definitely. I think that you have a better view in the press box up there in the coach's booth than you do on the field. But like I said, you give up a little bit with the interaction. But that's where your trusted guys like Marcus Woodson, Darren Wilson, Zeke Adams, Cody Kennedy, Morgan Turner, Jimmy Smith. That's where Kenny Guyton. That's where they come in handy down there, on the field. So there's some give and take. But honestly, I like it. I like the play callers in the booth better because I just know you can see the field better, Jason. I know you can.
And Chris G says, I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, but shout out to the freshmen. They had a day yesterday.
Well, Brad Spence had a day.
They did.
I mean, they're going to have some days too. Those kids, I tell you, Quincy Rhodes, I saw him play last year in high school, and I told people he was a freaking stud, and he is. I mean, just big. He's good. Brad Spence is one of those three linebackers that are Alex Sanford, but the offensive line protected well. They did a very good job protecting KJ.
They did.
It's just a running, getting push in the running game. But anyway, Yeah, I think the freshman played well. I mean, I thought Braxton had his moment. He had a moment or two where he did play. TJ Metcalf seemed to always be in the right place at the right time, Jason.
Yep.
Luke, oh yeah, we got to mention he can't mention freshman without Luke has. I mean, the kid started. I mean, Luke is a stud. I mean, a big time tight end, big time football player, period, but a big time tight end. I felt like he was the jewel of the freshman recruiting class. He is so good, and I just think that. I mean,
I was happy to see Torian Carter also. I know that Randolph had mentioned. I was happy to see Torian Carter get out there, move around. I know we missed him last year.
Yeah,
the team missed him last year. Sorry, and it was good to see him get out there and take a couple of licks, give a couple of licks, and get back into football shape again.
Yeah, it was. He just, he was their best defensive lineman when he went down that first play or first series in the spring game that year. And he was in that indoor complex. He was their best player, best defensive lineman. I'm sorry, interior defensive lineman. And it's good to have it's good to have kids like him and these guys back who have fought injuries and they stay in there. And he's. You need all the big bodies you can get on that defensive line. I mean, it's hot. Saturday is not going to be moved because my understanding is they can't move that game. So, Dominic. So it's TV game, so they can't be moved. So it'll be 3:00. It's probably going to be hot. I know there's a time when the temperature is going to start getting lower. I think it's still going to be hot Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever. It's September. That's what you play. I mean, it'll be just as hot on the Kent State side as it is on the Arkansas side. So, in fact, it'll probably be hotter because the sun will be bearing down on them, and at 3:00, it'll be bearing down on the business side. Whereas in the morning game, it's coming at the Arkansas side. So, it'll be even hotter on their side. Heat's not it is what it is. I was impressed yesterday that you didn't see Arkansas cramping up like you did Western Carolina. They had a lot of players cramping up. And the
trainers took care of business off the field, and that was great to see that, trainers also with the players making sure that they were keeping their end of the bargain of saying, hey, I'm going to take care of my body before we reach the field, because that makes a huge difference.
Well, yeah, and Arkansas's got enough depth, and they're going to play a lot of guys Saturday, I'm assuming. I don't know why they wouldn't. You should have a lot of players that can go out there and make some plays, and I think you'll see a big difference this week. And the fact that you're just going to see some improvement. So I like that. And they might not beat them 56-13, but I just think you're going to see a big difference in the fact that I think more players are going to have a game under their belt. Now it's not going to be the first game for KJ to throw to Isaac or Andrew. I don't care how many times they practiced. Those two guys, Broden was here in the spring too, but that's spring. And then you had the preseason, but this was the first game. And but I'm just telling you, man, I mean, that was really impressive, the chemistry that those quarterbacks and receivers had.
What I think too, that it may happen this week too, but I guarantee you in weeks 3, 4, and 5, one of the things that we both talked about and we noticed on Andrew Armstrong's touchdown that he had was that the DB gave him the inside shoulder. I don't know why, for what reason that happened. I mean, that's like 101 DBs, that you do not give up the inside shoulder. You always push him out. And he let Andrew come inside on him. And like you said, he took it to him. And anytime he was getting the inside shoulder, he was making him pay.
He abused them, and they could have gone to that all day long if they'd wanted to. Same thing with Isaac. That was there. Andrew beat that guy. No matter who they had on him, he beat him like a bad dog. I mean, he beat the guy bad. So, I mean, Armstrong and Isaac are just so big. I mean, they're fast and they're big, and I don't care what level you're talking about. I never bought that crap about them being from small schools. They wouldn't be any good. I mean, I looked at both. I talked about it earlier. I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I've already talked about what happened to them in recruiting in high school, why they weren't heavily recruited, and what's the difference now. And it's obvious. And that's a story that That's one thing about the portal. You can love it, you can hate the transfer portal, but one thing it has done, and it has allowed a kid who didn't develop in high school or didn't get recruited because he played out of position or he wasn't as good then as he wasn't as developed as he is now. It affords them a chance to play up, transfer one time. And even though Vito's ineligible this year, I like the rule. Not because of Vito, nothing against Vito, but I'm glad now you can only transfer one time if you're not a graduate. You can only transfer one time, and you're there. I don't like kids transfer. There's quarterback that went to Southern Cal, then to Georgia, then to West Virginia. It just transfer every year, and I don't like that, Jason. And I'm glad they stopped that. And that's not a knock on Vito at all. I'm just glad they stopped. I like the rule as it is, and I'm glad they're not making exceptions with it because I think it's a good rule it's the best thing for college football as a whole.
And there needs to be some leveling off in that area too, because whenever you go from one extreme to the other, you have to find that middle ground and that happy middle ground. I think that the NCAA is finally starting to see that and kind of readjust their barometer and what they consider acceptable. Now, James Jerem said, "Is it just me, or did KJ make the throws he made yesterday look like practice?" That also speaks to the chemistry that he has developed with those wide receivers over the last couple of months. Yes, there is a connection that that group does have, and that's one of the things that we had talked about, peeling off that question mark. Each one of these guys, not only do they have great hands, they're able to reel the ball in. I mean, you can sit there and have the softest hands all day, but if you can't take a lick while you're making that catch, like we saw yesterday when Armstrong came back to KJ and made that great play, you have to be able to take that lick while you're making that catch. And, yards after contact yesterday, that was incredible. I love to see it. If I'm not mistaken, they had, I think, either 120 or 130 yards after the catch. And that's something that you want to see from your wide receivers, is being able to bust those, those breaks from those from those defensive backs, those holes.
Yeah. Well, Criswell's kids, they're not. I mean, last year when KJ wasn't in there, the offense was in shambles. It's not going to be the case this year, and I hope they don't come down to that, because I hope KJ plays all 13 games. But if he doesn't play, Jacoby Criswell's capable of coming there and running that offense, and very good quarterback. I mean, I'll say this, and I thought, coming out of high school, they recruited Jacoby Criswell, Chandler Morris, and Haynes King from Longview. And I felt like Jacoby was the best one of the three. And I get why Chad recruited his son. I'm not knocking Chad about that. I'm not going to pile on him about that. I get why he recruited son. And I think all three of them were good quarterbacks. But I felt like Jacoby was the best of the three then, Jason. I loved him. High school. Chad was going to recruit his son, and by the time Sam got hired, it was too late to get Jacoby, But I'm glad. And there again, that's another benefit of the transfer. Jacoby gets to come back. He was stuck behind Drake May at North Carolina. He gets to come back here, play for the team, and he really wanted to play for it to start with. That it didn't work out for obvious reasons in high school, but he's getting a second chance, and next year he'll have a chance for it to be his team.
And speaking of transfers, I did want to make a point. TJ Finley transfer from Auburn that wound up at Texas State is Texas State's starting quarterback. They beat Baylor yesterday.
Yeah, at Waco, if I'm not mistaken.
It was at Waco. That is correct.
Yeah, it was in Waco. I mean, and Finley, he's ahead of Malik down there, I guess. But but I've always thought Malik needed to move to receiver. I just don't think he's a quarterback. I mean, I just don't feel like he's enough with the passing threat to be a quarterback, whereas I think he could be a very good if he moved to receiver, bought into it, and put his mind to it. I think he could be a very good receiver, because he certainly got the speed.
He has the elite speed. Definitely does. But let's look ahead at Kent State just for one moment before we jump off of here. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. This is right now the most watched live show that we have had. We just hit the 100 mark, Otis, of live folks that are watching live. I appreciate all the comments that you guys are putting on here
We
too.
don't have anything.
What's that?
I said without the viewers, without the fans, we don't have. There's no need for us. So I mean, it's
Exactly.
Damn, but no, I certainly appreciate it, man, because I've been in this business for many years, and I'm telling you, it's not because I'm good or because I'm great or anything. It's because people out here support you and read your stuff, and yep. I try to deliver a direct message, to them. I mean, I try to be, I'm who I am, and I've tried to deliver Razorback news through the years, not sugarcoat it or not downplay it, and and I think people, but without fans, there's no message to deliver. You can deliver your message, but the Bulldog doesn't care about it. He's going to keep sleeping here at my feet, So, he doesn't care about that message. So, I definitely think the fans and the support here and other places too, wherever they read our stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I want to thank everybody else for jumping on too here. We're going to jump out of here in just a moment. Otis, do you have any final thoughts and what we should be looking forward to next week?
No, I just maybe improve in the running game. I mean, watch to see how the offensive line, if it gelled a little bit, and see some stuff. And just main thing to me, not even the offensive line, I want to see how focused this team is next Saturday. Do they come out with that killer instinct that they showed Saturday? Will they do that again this Saturday, or will they come out and divert back to playing down to the level of the competition? I'm anxious to see that.
All right, well, everybody, I want to thank our sponsor, Koi Southern Eats, and also want to thank John James for all of the photos that he's provided for us, and also want to thank Pixabay for all of the music that they have provided too. Be sure to jump back on at 4:30 for the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. And for Otis Kirk, I'm your host, Jason Pattyson, and thank you for jumping on the Razorback Report with Otis Kirk.
Thanks, Jason, man. Appreciate you.